Music genres. Welcome back, everyone. Today we're going to be ranking every single music genre. I say every single, there's like 35, but still. Because what kind of musician would I be if I didn't think my music taste was superior to everyone else's? So naturally the tier list that I make here today is going to be 100% fact, not opinion at all, and if you disagree, you're wrong. So today we're going to have some fun and make some people mad along the way. Let's do this thing. Okay, so here we are inside the tier list thing, and we have all of these genres lined up for us. Every genre that's ever existed right here. All, like, 36 of them. Kind of some weird ones on here, not gonna lie. But if for whatever reason you've never seen a tier list before, the top is the best, the bottom is the worst. That's essentially how it works. First one we got here is alternative pop. I'm not really exactly sure what alternative pop means. Maybe kind of like a pop punk kind of thing. But I like that kind of stuff, so we're gonna give it a nice, like, B tier. Because I think if we're going S tier, it's gotta be something that, like, you can flip on and listen to at any point in time, or is just like objectively one of the best genres of music. Country. This one's gonna stir up some commotion, I'm sure. I used to be that guy, alright, where I was like, man, I listen to everything except for like country music. I don't really like country music. And honestly, I feel like 90% of the people who say that have never really actually gone and listened to country music, because there's some pretty good country songs out there. I won't even lie to you. Now, granted, the old country music is way better than the new stuff. The country music that I don't like is the new country music, where it just sounds like they put trap drums over a country song. I don't understand why that's a thing, and it just doesn't sound good either. But if we're talking the country songs that aren't those country songs, I'm gonna give country a C. Ragtime. What the hell? That's like the music where like you're a cowboy and you just got off your horse and you walked into the saloon and somebody's in the back playing something like that. That's kind of what ragtime is. Honestly, I don't really care at all. I put it at a D. Folk. Listen, I'm a folky guy. There are really not very many folk songs that I dislike. I feel like the majority of folk music is really good. So I think we have our first S here. Classic rock. I feel like classic rock just encompasses such a large area. Because if we're talking classic rock, obviously there's going to be like AC/DC, Aerosmith, like Van Halen and stuff. But then also a lot of times that includes like Zeppelin and Pink Floyd and bands like that who sound nothing like the rest of like the classic rock genre. So, A. I think an A is fair. Alternative rock, I'm assuming that probably encompasses like Nirvana and like Stone Temple Pilots and people like that on more of like the grunge side of things, because I don't see grunge in here. But alternative rock honestly has to be like one of the best genres out there. So we're putting this one at an A as well. Easy. Swing. What even is swing actually? It's like this kind of thing. Swing's pretty good, but I don't really have very many strong feelings about it, so I'm just gonna put it in like C. Christian rock. Honestly, this one really comes down to more of like the message and the lyrical content than the actual like style of the music. But then again, I guess Christian rock does have that very like specific sound when you think of it in your head. But honestly, when are you just like sitting around being like, oh my gosh, I really need to listen to some Christian rock right now? I'm putting it on an E tier. Okay, punk. I feel like with punk, you have to find the right bands. There's certain punk bands where you listen to it and you're like, this is like quite possibly the worst music I've ever heard. And there's other punk bands where you listen and it absolutely blows you away. So I think solely based on the fluctuation in the quality of the music, we're gonna put it at B. Now, metal. I have never been a huge metalhead. The best type of metal is the melodic metal, like the screamo, like insane heavy metal kind of stuff. Not my cup of tea. Doesn't really mesh well with the vibe that I normally have. I'm gonna put it at a C. But mind you, I would put this like in between B and C. I'm going to give this like a B minus, to be honest. Blues. Come on. You can't go wrong with a little blues. There is a time and a place to get bluesy though. Sometimes you don't really want to put on that blues and, you know, really get into that. But I think definitely a solid B is most definitely fair. Jazz music. Overall, jazz, absolutely, for me, is going to be another S. I can literally flip on a jazz guitar playlist for like 6 hours out of the day and never get tired of it. It's just so good. It's so soothing. It's so chill, relaxing, and it's absolutely one of the biggest influences of every single other type of music. Classical music, pretty much literally every genre of Western music has come from classical music, and it's the same kind of deal. If I flip on some classical music, I could play that bad boy for 6 hours straight and literally never get tired of it. Classical music, of course, S tier. Funk, this one's pretty easy for me, honestly. We're going A, because there is a time and a place to get funky, but it just so happens that a lot of the time is good for getting funky. Soul, Same kind of deal. As somebody who comes from doing hip-hop beats, soul samples are absolutely some of the greatest samples you can find out there. I have to give it an A for sure. R&B, this is where we start getting into like, what kind of R&B are we talking about here? Are we talking about 90s R&B? Are we talking about 2000s R&B? I can get down with a little 90s R&B, and then even a lot of the new R&B stuff, people like SZA, and I guess even Chris. I'm not a huge Chris Brown fan, but there's some okay Chris Brown songs. There's also a lot of Drake songs that I would classify more as R&B than rap. Bryson Tiller, Brent Fayaz, whatever you want to say. But honestly, let's go with like an A. Rap. I'm sure you've all been waiting for this one to see what I have to say about this. It's such a broad statement. Again, this applies to all of these genres, by the way, but there are so many subgenres to all of these. And especially for me, rap is the one that I know the most about. So for me, it's like, all right, are we talking about Bay Area rap? Are we talking about Detroit rap? Flint rap? Are we talking about Chicago drill? Are we talking about OG Chicago drill or the new Chicago drill that's like 160 BPM? Whatever, you get the point. But I think for one, rap is such a saturated genre now. Like just everybody makes rap music, which adds to how good it is because everything is kind of influenced by rap now because it is almost like the pop music of today's era. But I think overall I rambled about this one enough. Rap is going at A. Musical theater, I think musical theater is really not that good. And I think a lot of people who come from music theater backgrounds who then try to sing and make like more pop records or whatever other genre they want generally still have that very over-the-top dramatic music theater kind of sound. So we're going to go with an E. Latin. Again, this is just a huge one that there's so many other variations of genres underneath it. But overall, Latin type music is actually one of my biggest inspirations, specifically Latin like guitar type stuff. Some of my favorite stuff to play, my favorite chord progressions and stuff have a very Latin feel to them. But I think just because of the broadness of the term here, we're definitely going to put it at A. Not an S. Reggaeton. I have really never known what this is, to be honest, so... Alright, that's kind of what I thought it was. Basically, reggaeton is just like that. You know what I'm talking about. Every single song sounds exactly the same. There's really not a whole lot involved with making the genre. Not that that really matters because it doesn't matter, you know, how if it's hard to make the genre or hard to play it or whatever. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really think there's anything particularly interesting about it. I don't know. E. Now, reggae, not reggaeton, reggae. I grew up in a house where Bob Marley was just constantly playing, so I have every Bob Marley song just ingrained in my brain forever. This is one of the ones where I'll break character and acknowledge that it's not for everybody. However, even for me, I haven't listened to reggae in a while, although I wouldn't be opposed to it. It's just not something I flip on all the time. So we're going to put it at a C. EDM, again, same deal. There are so many genres underneath EDM. This one might have the most subgenres underneath it. EDM literally just means electronic dance music. Most people hear EDM and they just think dubstep kind of stuff. Although that is one of the subgenres, EDM also includes like house and trance and D&B and techno and all this other stuff that is actually all like so different from each other. Some sort of deep house track is going to sound literally nothing like a dubstep record, but they're still categorized under this like giant ominous word of EDM. So for this one, I think I'm gonna have to go with B because I don't like dubstep, but I do like house. Maybe I don't like techno, but I do like drum and bass. So there's just too much variation under that label for me to like accurately place everything. Desi, what even is that? Okay, I kind of have an idea of what it is. I've heard some of the stuff before. Not particularly fond of any of it. I think I'm just gonna have to put this one at an E too. Okay, classic pop. What is classic pop? I'm gonna guess they're talking about like 80s pop, like pop rock kind of stuff. Maybe like a little Michael Jackson or like Billy Idol or something like that. If that is what they're talking about though, I think I'm gonna have to give this one an A. There is some songs that I'm not particularly fond of, but the majority of the old pop rock stuff is really good. Modern pop, yeah, again, I don't really, what do they mean by that? I'm just gonna assume that they're talking about like early 2000s through like 2012 kind of pop, like Katy Perry and stuff like that, just because of the fact that that's the kind of music that I heard like on the radio and stuff when I was growing up. It gets a couple extra points for me, even though I don't like the music. I don't know, we're gonna go with C. Okay, gospel music. Same kind of deal with soul. So many good samples come from gospel music. Just an absolutely unreal quantity of great music that's come out of the gospel genre. So with gospel, again, we're going to go with A. Maybe a surprising choice for some of you, but I like gospel music. Gregorian chanting. I mean, obviously, we're putting that one at S. Normally, I would just treat this one as a joke, but I'm actually going to listen to some Gregorian chanting. These are all like hour-long videos. What? This one's 3 hours long. Call me crazy, but it's kind of cool. It's like the Halo soundtrack. Let's put that one at a C. Because obviously not music that I would just be like, oh, put on some Gregorian chanting, yeah. But it sounds very pretty, kind of transports you into another dimension, and I like that. Foreign pop, that literally could just mean any country that you're not in. Pop music, whatever, I don't know. Children's music. Hey, Old MacDonald Had a Farm goes pretty hard. I don't know, that's such a weird one. Traditional European. Europe is an entire continent. Well, there's an hour-long version of it, so... They're talking about like medieval times music. The type of stuff you put on and you just instantly transport to like the Renaissance fair. That stuff is cool. And I think it deserves a beat. Traditional African. Africa is literally the second biggest continent on the entire planet. So obviously there's so many other regional genres and subgenres and whatever. But the stuff that comes to your mind when you think of like African music is really good. And there's a lot of really good samples and amazing instruments actually that they have. But obviously not something I'm going to play when you hand me the aux. So I think just a C is good for this one. Middle Eastern. I think I, in my head, always think of like the music that you hear when you're roaming through the desert in a video game. Obviously there's so much more to it. But I think we'll go with C too. Jewish. It doesn't even say music, it's just Jewish. Top 10 Jewish songs of 2021. Not gonna lie, most of those songs are pretty trash. I can't even sit here and lie and say that I liked any of those songs I just heard, so we're putting the Jewish music at E. So there you go, my music genres tier list. I hope you all enjoyed, and now you know where these music genres rank, because if you have your own opinion, no you don't. This right here is fact, and if you disagree, your family doesn't love you. Anyways, for real, I hope you guys enjoyed. Want to try a little something different here. It was fun doing this and talking about different music genres and sharing my opinions. If you want to do the tier list for yourself, there's a link down in the description below, along with my Instagram, SoundCloud, Beat Store, all that other type of stuff down there. If you want to check that out as well, feel free to do so, and I will see you guys next time. One, you choose.